evening and welcome to another episode of Hard Factor. It is Thursday, August 29th. And tonight, or this morning, we have a special guest on, Donnie Does, the Wonton Don himself, to talk a little China. How you doing, Donnie?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing good, and you?
Doing great. We're going to get to the bottom of this whole Hong Kong and China situation.
Yeah, we expect you to explain it all, Donnie. So,
yeah.
Well, it seems like neither of them have gotten to the bottom of it yet. Yeah,
Well,
they're still
we expect
they're still
you
digging.
to have a solution. Yeah, we expect you
Oh,
to
yeah.
know what to do.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, so you guys just want a quick little rundown about what's going
No,
on?
we'll get into it. After we talk about Hong Kong with you, Donnie, we're going to have Wes. He's going to give us a little update on Brexit. So what's happening with Brexit, Wes?
Boris Johnson is being Boris motherfucking Johnson.
Wes is having a tough week. He had the Amazon all week, and then he woke up to this Brexit news. It's a long week for Wes.
Yeah, I'm an expert on a few things this week.
Nice. And then Mark, Pat, and I'll take us through a news buffet of other headlines. All right, Donnie, let's get into the China stuff. What do you want to go over first?
I mean, what do you guys want to know? I know you've talked about this before, but
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we've been covering the Hong Kong stuff. I mean, we kind of talked about how basically they're protesting the extradition rights, and then the mainland China government's being pretty heavy-handed, it seems like, trying to enforce things. And we just want to know, from your perspective, somebody who has lived over there, knows a little bit more about the history and everything, is it as bad as it seems from the outside?
So I will say I have a couple of friends living in Hong Kong now. I saw them on like a yacht party last weekend, and there was a hot tub on the yacht. So I guess when it comes down to the foreign population out there, they seem to be doing all right. But okay. I think for Hong Kong as a whole, the situation is very fucked up. Pretty much it all comes down to when I first moved out there, China and Hong Kong were treated like completely different countries. Anytime I go there, I have to get my passport stamped, and yeah, it's technically China, but it's a different currency, a different government system, a different legal system.
Right.
And slowly but surely, China's starting to flex and be like, when it comes to 2040, you're going to be officially China, because that's the date they have set.
It's kind of like Canada and the U.S., basically.
Oh, yeah. Canada knows they're fucked in 40 years. Actually, we might be the ones fucked because of global warming. Canada might become the spot to be.
We'll have to move up there.
Well, that's
going to be
taking them over, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be fucking climate refugees trying to fucking hop over the wall into Canada.
Can you
in
imagine
150
people
years.
from South Alabama moving up into Montreal? That would be
Newfoundland, Florida.
That'd be a lot of culture clash right there.
It'd be a lot of culture clash. There are northern Hicks. I've met a lot of Hicks up in Maine, so I don't know. Maybe they would get along, but you're right. There's certain areas they would not fit in. But yeah, so anytime Hong Kong feels like China is starting to chip away at their sovereign rights, they get pissed. I was at a protest back in 2014. The Yellow Umbrella protest, when they said that, okay, you guys can elect your own ruler, your own leader in Hong Kong, but Beijing can select all the candidates. And they got pissed off at that. They're like, then we're not fucking electing our own leader.
Right.
Speaking
of that.
That's a fake prophet. That's they don't have any power in that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I saw that Carrie Lam, and she's the current China's head of the Hong Kong takeover, basically. She said that she'd invoke emergency powers that could include life sentences for new crimes, property confiscation, deportation, censorship, and the closing of newspapers and shit. If she feels like she has to enforce that in Hong Kong, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shocked it's gotten so violent, because at the last protest they shut down the largest highway in the entire city. This was the main highway you used to get across the city. They set up all these tents and stuff, and that lasted for 3 weeks, but it never got violent somehow. When you
except in the subways, that's where you don't want to be. So it's you don't want to take the subway to work. You don't want to take the subway home.
How did people?
No. This was not the subway. This was the highway. This was the largest highway.
That's crazy.
So
in the city.
Business between China and Hong Kong or wherever it was just didn't do business those 3 weeks, or how's
no that? This was the highway, the biggest highway in Hong Kong. So all of Hong Kong couldn't do business. They just had to walk and shit.
Of the city.
But it never got violent. This one seemed to get violent quick. There's been rumors that the government has been hiring triads on the side because because they can
Makes
show
sense.
up.
Smart move.
I only know triads from Grand Theft Auto 3. What is a triad in real life?
It's like a Yusaki for China, right? Like,
A
Yeah.
Yuzaki?
or Yukazi.
Yakuza.
Yakuza.
I
Yakuzama.
think, right?
Yakuza.
Yakuza. Yakuza.
A jacuzzi on a yacht.
There we go.
Yeah, it's either it's the Yakuza or the Mafia of Hong Kong. And so they hire them because they can beat the shit out of protesters and not get like arrested because they're not held to
Really?
laws.
They got big guys over there? I always thought the Chinese were little people except for Yao Ming. Like, how big are the mafia guys over there?
I think the Hong Kong guys are small. Southern China people are small, but
they're
those
fast.
are vicious motherfuckers. Like,
Yeah, but they also have like weapons and they're trained to kill.
That's true, and
And
they-
they want to kill versus a protester doesn't want to kill.
Yeah,
A
gang
triad
members
triad wants
everywhere
to
are
kill.
dangerous.
They're also really good at hiding places.
It seems like the best
Yes.
protesting in Hong Kong is protesting depression, like Donnie's friends, the foreigners, just going to yacht. I'm going to protest depression this weekend.
exactly.
Yeah, I saw another headline about the protest before we move on was I saw that mainland Chinese people are sneaking into Hong Kong to help protest on behalf of Hong Kong. Does that surprise you at all?
Yeah, I didn't know about that at all.
Yeah.
I know like China has brought troops down to the border, right in Shenzhen, right, like across the river from Hong Kong. So, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
a show of force. But did you hear about the Mulan star?
No?
Oh, you didn't hear about that. So the star of Mulan came out in support of the Hong Kong police who are trying to shut down all the protests.
Oh.
And now she came out in support for the police. And now all of Hong Kong and a bunch of like people in the US are like boycott Mulan. She supports communism. She supports a totalitarian dictatorship.
We're talking about
So-
Disney's Mulan, right?
But Disney, I will say that they made the right call right there because they could either you don't want to lose the Disney box office when it comes to Mulan. That's the entire reason why Disney remade the movie. They're like, we are
also
going to clean up.
It's also where the Szechuan dipping sauce came from at McDonald's.
I mean, people might be mad. At her, but
Was that
she's
inspired by
definitely-
Mulan?
that was Milan, man.
No way.
I swear to God, it was,
No
it was
way.
a special Milan promo at McDonald's in the 90s. Was the Szechuan dipping sauce, and Rick and Morty brought it back.
It's tough.
Holy shit. I actually believe that.
Yeah, it's true. That's because it's true, Donnie. That's why.
I know. I'm saying that I was always confused. I was like, why did we suddenly get interested in Sichuan sauce? It was fucking Mulan.
But the Mulan star protesting, against the protesters is a smarter move than the former Chinese star that didn't pay taxes and it just disappeared.
Yeah, what happened to her?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Your guess is that as
No
good
one-
as
no one
mine.
has-
If you're making a public statement, make it pro G for sure. If you're living over there.
Real quick, Donnie, before we move on to you have an interesting segment. How do you think this Hong Kong protest thing's going to end? Because they have a little bit of time before the government shift. Do you think it's going to just end or it'll just go on until the government China takes over in a couple of years?
I have no idea, but I talked to one guy who's more in the know. His theory was that once kids have to go back to school, which is like the first couple weeks of September, none of the protesters are going to have time to actually protest. He thinks all the kids going back to school will just like force people back into normalcy. I have no idea if that's true, but that's the only theory I've heard.
Well, I got a question for you that I think you have an answer to, which is how good is the MDMA in China?
Oh.
I will say that PFT got the lion's share of the bag that we took at Hong Kong Sevens.
It looked like it in the video.
Yeah, but I will say, I would say the MDMA in Hong Kong is better than the MDMA you get in China because that is just bath salts, straight up.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh, wow.
All right, you have an interesting news story that you want to tease, yeah, about China?
Yeah. How long are we going for? I can tease it, and then we can talk about it more on a
Just
future
tell
episode.
people
How about 1
where
minute-
to look out for it because we got to move on to some other
How
stuff.
about 1
here.
minute? We'll move on to other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone I'm sure has heard of the social credit system in China. It's been on the news a lot. It's pretty much exactly like that one episode of Black Mirror where you get a score based on your behavior, and then you're either granted or denied privileges based on that score.
Yeah. The episode starring my girl, Bryce Dallas Howard.
That's correct.
Yes, exactly, with her. Now, it's not in place around the country yet, but by 2020, China wants all of its citizens scored and then either punished or rewarded based on that score. So they've
That's
already started
crazy.
pilot programs where if you have a low score, you can get denied high-speed train access. You can get
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to take a fucking bus. You
Are
also
they going to
get
give people chips too, like chips in your arm or something? Like a
no, you don't get a chip in your arm. You just get a score that's attached to like a scan of your face.
Would employers
Oh.
be able to see this if you're interviewing for a job?
Yeah.
type thing?
Yep.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
could hurt you in order to get a job. You get banned from flights. You will have to like pay more in utilities. You could get slower internet speeds.
Let me ask
and
you a
shit.
question, Donnie. Is it all is it everything exterior that you're judged on, or does the look and shape of your genitals come into play whatsoever in your social score?
I don't think that would come into play.
It's an honest question.
You think suicide's going to go up because of this?
It is your physical well-being. Your physical well-being is not taken into place. There's one app though that tracks your consumer like habits, and if you just buy loads of booze, video games, God knows what, your score could take a hit.
Oh.
Where
you gotta find like dumb people to do that
That's
for you.
fucked up.
Yeah. Donnie, we do want to see you. If you're single and willing, send us your scores of women there you're hooking up with, and I want to see them go up. Also, I would be fucked in the system because I have a 4.2 star or 3.9 star in Lyft, which is the lowest of any one of my friends.
It's the lowest it goes, right?
Yeah.
Buying beer gets you lower points. I'm in deep shit.
Yeah, we
we
can't
wouldn't-
become Chinese citizens. So
we wouldn't do well in China. Yeah.
That's only if you buy beer online. If you just use cash, I think it won't affect your score.
Well, what's more convenient? 'Cause
Ah,
that's
good
what Wes
point.
is going to do.
Yeah, it's more convenient to just do it using your phone.
All right, let's move on, Donnie.
Yeah, we got to move on to
Very
Brexit.
influential.
Wes, get us going.
Let's do it. All right.
Informational.
Boris motherfucking Johnson from the top rope or parking lot or something like that just sent a very strong message to me and my fellow citizens of the UK that Brexit is going down with or without a deal with the EU, and that predicted bet that Brexit will happen by the 1st of November is looking sweeter by the minute.
Which you bet on,
Yes, I did.
and you recommended.
I did. Yeah. So what did this crazy son of a bitch do now? Well, Johnson found his way to get Brexit done, he thinks, and apparently he has the Queen's backing now. Actually, the Queen's backing is just, in this case, kind of one of those weird formalities. He has to ask her permission to pull this move, which I'll talk about, but she stays out of politics and never interferes.
Wait a minute. No, disagree.
But
It's
she's
not
gonna
a
approve
formality.
it, though.
She pulls every string still.
Well,
you're insane if
no,
you
no,
think she's not in charge.
It's something, she doesn't get involved in politics, so
Oh, sure.
she hasn't refused this move ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure she just walks around her
No, she
garden
just has
all day,
people killed.
just wondering how she birthed an alleged pedophile these days. Anyway, so so Johnson asked the Queen to suspend or prorogue or shut down Parliament just days after they get back from their summer recess or holiday, I think they call it over there, which they're currently on. So this will basically go back. They'll basically go back in session next week, and then a few days later they will be suspended again until October 14th. Which is when Johnson is set to deliver the Queen's speech, which is where he outlines his plans for the government, a speech which will likely just say, "Get ready for Brexit, motherfuckers," and he'll drop the mic.
So when does it happen? So he's
He says,
basically
hey, yeah.
he's
EU
delaying
take a
all
holiday
government
forever.
activity until Brexit happens, basically.
So no, he's basically giving members of Parliament 2 weeks to stop him. So he's not allowing them to be in session,
Shortening
so they
their
can't-
window, yeah.
Right, yeah, shortening their window. So they have basically 2 weeks to either pass legislation that will rule out a no Brexit deal or voting a no confidence in the government.
He's like the
so-
villain in any movie where there's a bomb and he just like shortens the time of the bomb by half.
Yeah.
Like, now you have to solve it quickly.
So
Yeah,
if
you
they
get
do
fresh.
vote in favor for Brexit, what are the immediate consequences there?
Well, it's likely not going to happen with a deal with the EU. So they're saying it's economic, implications. That's what the whole reason they don't want to do it without a deal is because they think it's going to be
Right.
bad for the
And if
economy.
they get to October 31st with no deal struck, I think it just happens with no deal, right? Is that correct?
Well, that's what he's saying. Unless one of these two things can happen, where they, rule that it can't happen. Without
So
a
Boris
deal
is
or-
trying to stop people. Like I gotta say, like I said that he kind of sucked compared to Theresa May. Or he wasn't doing anything else extra. This is moving the needle right here.
This is
he's
actually-
shutting down
yes.
Parliament. That's a pretty.
Right.
It's a power move.
Yes, and it's being called a coup by some members of the opposition, unconstitutional. But Boris made a do-or-die promise, and Boris keeps his promises. So, of course, like we were just talking about, the same old fears with the opposition members of parliament exist. Brexiting without a deal will hurt the economy, drive up prices. So again, they have a few options. Like I said before, and another option would be to go to court and try to stop this this proroguing, a move which Boris has called absurd. There's also a petition out there to stop this move. It has like over 300,000 signatures, but we all know how well those things work. And some are also saying this move hurts Johnson in a way because without a sitting parliament, he can't pass legislation that would soften the blow of a no-deal Brexit, like allocating more resources and money in certain
Yeah,
places.
but he's saying
like
but he's just calling everybody's bluff. He's like, look, I'm going to make it happen.
he's going to make it happen and deal with the consequences later is basically what he's doing, it sounds like. So
I want to address Will's Theresa May comment, though. I know that Hillary Clinton was never in power, but it's very similar to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Theresa May is definitely drinking tea erratically at different times than she normally would, and she's going to be found in a picture in the woods. Or
She's going to be upset. If this goes down, she's going to be
Theresa
upset.
May is not happy right now. No.
Yeah.
no, she's mad she didn't think of this.
They're putting her on Epstein watch if this happens, big time.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
Maybe. I don't know if they killed themselves in England. They're very conceited.
That's very true.
yeah, so this move hasn't been done since 1948.
I'm sorry, that's insensitive. I take that back. Of course they do, and that's suicide's not funny.
No, it's not. So this is a move that's been done before, but not since 1948 to get around opposition of something that the PM wanted to get done. So it's looking like it's going to happen because he's just not giving them enough time to fuck with his plan, basically.
Yeah. Smart.
Boning Ireland and Northern Ireland. There's
I like
real
it. So,
bone
so Wes,
situation there.
your tip of buying Brexit was hot.
Yeah.
I think it still stands.
He's
yes.
treating all of England like children. He's like 3, 2, 1. He's like
Brexit.
He's like just punishing them.
Yeah. So let's go to the internet. Ray McGurk's in response to how was the Queen not stopping this, and she says this is just ceremony and tradition. She is a figurehead. She has no power. There is granted loads of our.
Fuck that. The largest landowner in the fucking planet has no power. She's the most powerful person on the planet.
You want her to veto this?
No, she can do whatever the fuck if she wants to veto it, she can veto it. The Queen is the most powerful person on the planet Earth.
I think she's just going with the people's vote here, Mark.
Okay,
So
that's fine. That's
yeah,
fine. That's
yeah.
fine. But she has
Dude,
no
that would be
powers.
incredible if she just stepped in and vetoed it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't think she technically has the legal power, but it's like, I don't think anyone else has the
you
fucking
can't tell
balls
her.
to
No,
say
she's
no.
the queen. She's
Yeah.
She can do whatever the fuck she wants.
She can refuse his request.
Yeah, especially with all this internet bullshit about like go off Queen and Queen's doing Queen.
Yeah.
What if a Queen actually did some Queen shit?
Yeah.
So she actually, everyone's like, go off Queen, and then she just actually turns off and dies.
Which is going to happen. She's like 95.
That's a manslaughter charge, Donnie.
She's got bigger fish.
Go off, Queen. Boom.
What did you do to the Queen?
Right, like waking up.
Yeah, like waking up and dealing with their son.
All right, sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's it. So that's it. We'll see what happens, and I would still say take that Brexit bet. They're gone by the 1st of November.
All right, let's take it to a news buffet where I have a more complicated story from another European country. Italy is having a tough time as a country, guys. They are in a state of turmoil and I guess reflection. Remember, we covered Italy a few times recently. For example, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte resigned in the face of a no-confidence vote very recently, and we joked the entire parliament would collapse semi-incorrectly to the tune of an Italian listener had to set it straight a little bit. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we
sad,
were like, I don't know. Our jokes were pretty spot on because what happened was great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard to judge from the outside. That's fair. We get it. But let's not pretend like you weren't throwing bananas on soccer pitches a few years ago. You've got to you got to earn the benefit of the doubt, Italy. I kid. But it appears now Italy is pulling a 180 from our original take a couple weeks ago or last week, as two political parties once at odds have formed a coalition to take down the far-right guy who some have compared to Mussolini, Matteo Salvini, and his far-right party. So that's right. Italy's center-left Democratic Party, the PD, and anti-establishment five-star movement are joining up and retaining independent Giuseppe Conte, the guy who just retired as the prime minister, in an attempt to form a new government.
So he resigns. So he resigns, takes himself out of the running, and then Italian politics is so like behind the back door that two parties come together and agree to turn on the other party if they make Conte the prime minister again.
They liked what he did, and it looks like they're going to win and retain power until 2023. This is like if Hassan Piker joined up with anyone saner than him and begged George St. Pierre to stay on as welterweight champion after his fight with Johnny Hendricks. It's a little bit inside, Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm trying to put that one together.
It's a little bit inside.
Double metaphor.
But it's my story, and I'm half Fredo, so fuck off. This coalition is coming in just before the deadline of today or thereabouts that Italian President Sergio Mattarella levied on the government to figure it out, as Big Cat would say, or he would call an early election. Whatever the fuck that means. I don't know. Long story short, Italy's trying to do good for their own country, so good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, you gotta love it. This is amazing. Like, you thought that they were gonna go full Mussolini with the Salvini guy. Like, everybody thought Salvini was about to just walk in
We're
and
like,
Mussolini
Italy's
the
about
place.
to Italy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then nope, they backstab Mussolini and go back to the middle. It's cool.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
All right, guys, let's take it back to America with news that actually
God.
we care about. Yeah, another Democratic candidate fell to the secretly sweet relief you get when you quit something yesterday. And that Democrat is New York Senator and semi-professional wine taster Kirsten Gillibrand.
She's out.
Yeah, Gillibrand is out. She announced via a video on Twitter yesterday with some internet-purchased inspirational music in the background saying, quote, 8 incredible months. I'm ending my campaign.
I wouldn't call them incredible. 8 months would have worked.
This is just a formality.
I'm going to do a mashup of all the videos when they keep coming out. Anyway, yesterday was a judgment day for a large portion of the then 21 Democrats still running for president, as it was the deadline for candidates to meet the qualifications outlined by the DNC in order to participate in the September debates. And when the music stopped, 11 candidates were left without chairs. And for some reason, the only one who's man enough to admit it is Kirsten.
Who do you think's
Yeah.
going to win? Who do you think's going to win the Democrats?
Well, how the fuck are Delaney and de Blasio still in it?
No idea.
Yeah, you're in New York right now. What's up with de Blasio? Down here?
I have zero. I mean, I don't barely know who De Blasio is.
Good answer.
Yeah, you and everybody else. He's running for president.
I'm on vacation.
They both
looking.
got a lot of money. That's probably what's going on.
I've been trying to stay up to date. I haven't been, but I will let you know that when it comes to election day, if you guys are holding, like a live election day coverage, I'll be watching that.
Oh, yeah.
nice. There we go.
Thank you, Donnie.
That's
All right, guys,
something
so
we can all agree on. Yes.
Yeah.
I checked all of the other delusional candidates' Twitters who did not make the cut, and they're all still talking like they've got a shot at being the president, which confuses me. Isn't running for president a complete and total pain in the ass, especially if you have another job?
I mean, you kind of make a good point there. If they actually think they have a chance at this point, they're too insane to be president.
Right. Also, the job probably sucks. Running sucks. I mean, think about it. Running for president precludes you from declining to shake anyone's hand for any reason whatsoever, no matter how weird it is. It dramatically heightens the level of embarrassment if you get a cold sore, which is the kind of stress that causes cold sores. And then you have to listen to it and pretend to be interested when idiots tell you how to do your job. That sounds like it sucks.
Bernie Sanders can't even get hot soup without shaking everyone's hand in the San Francisco reference.
Yeah, and the owner's selling him out for being 82. And I bet Gillibrand is celebrating tonight so that she could just Colt McCoy the rest of the season and cheer the guys on who are taking the hit safely from the bench.
Gillibrand compares herself to Andrew Luck. It's like, no, not really.
So, do you guys think
Like
Bernie
Scoot
Sanders' punch on the punching bag will hurt
my
or
God,
help
it was
his chances?
embarrassing. Hurt his chances. Anything where he's looking too old hurts his chances, and that made him look pretty old.
Which
that
is
punching
video,
bag.
which is any video will.
Yeah.
But
technology invented out.
but I will say though, like a lot of like how old is he?
84, I think.
He's 79, turning 80. I think.
He'll be
79.
80 when he takes office.
But
yeah.
there's a lot of like 68-year-old guys that would probably have the same punch at a speed bag.
That's true.
Yeah,
And he's got
that's true.
he's got a lot of gusto for 79.
Because Bernie's 70.
Yeah.
But he
Whatever.
definitely made. He definitely
He's
put
going to
some
be
micro-
150 when he takes office, I heard. So
Yeah, definitely some
Yeah.
microfractures in his hand.
he's the oldest candidate, I think, though.
Anyway,
He's
guys,
had the most heartbeats, that's for sure.
that's true.
But yeah.
Well,
Donald
now-
Trump
yeah.
Jr. was like, "Does this look like a guy that other countries would be intimidated
Oh
by?"
yeah, that was a shitty post. I saw that one. It was. I mean, that was.
Well, Donald Trump Jr.'s dad's like 2 years younger. So I wouldn't go the old angle if I was Donald Trump Jr.
Right. Yeah, they got to find a new slant on that.
Yeah, that's because believe it or not, these days presidents don't fight each other. That'd be incredible if we just had world leaders just battle it out in the cage.
Pete
But
They should bring that back.
If Pete Buttigieg had any balls, he would go after all these old guys.
If that did come back, I would go to Elon directly and figure out how to get Theodore Roosevelt back from the dead. Speaking of the Trumps, though, guys, Trump took to Twitter to rub a little salt in the eye of the 20th runner-up for the Democratic nomination, saying, "A sad day for the Democrats. Kirsten Gillibrand has dropped out of the presidential primary. I'm glad they never found out she was the one I was really afraid of.
Oh, man. Oh, shit.
Deep burn.
Yeah, he trolled the
That's
fuck out of
hilarious.
us.
Hey, guys, let's kick it over to the lines on Predict It real quick. So the market for how many Democrats will drop out by August 31st was on fire yesterday with more than 18,000 shares traded after Gillibrand dropped out. So that's 6 Dems that are gone now, and the next line is 7 to 8 dropouts.
That's
so,
looking scrumptious.
Yeah, that's split at 50 cents a share. So if it essentially double your money if that happens.
Yeah, that's a lot.
My guess is we'll see another dropout sometime this morning for sure. So if you want to pay rent this month, throw the cash there. Another hot market is Brexit, which Wes alluded to earlier. If you guys want to get in on the action, we will match your first $20 deposit on Predict It. So all you got to go to is predictit.org/promo/hardfactor20, and we will match your first $20, Ian.
There it is.
I'll throw 20 on Yang.
Yeah, Yang.
On
Gang.
Yang,
Oh, yeah,
he's 12 cents right now to win the Democratic
Donnie,
nomination.
that's what I was saying yesterday. Definitely on Yang.
I mean, yeah, I get. Like, I don't even know if I'm Yang Gang. He just follows me on Twitter, so it's like, all right,
I mean,
like he's
humble
the only
brag,
candidate
Donnie.
who follows me. I gotta be
Humble brag there,
Yang
Danny.
Gang.
I mean, Donnie, you got to bet on everyone that follows you on Twitter.
Hey, that's good enough. Well, one guy.
Yeah,
Good
one
enough
guy.
for us. Yang.
There's only one. There's fucking like 40 candidates. Only one
That's
of them
probably
ever
the
followed me.
closest connection to the show we have with any of them, besides the interviews PFT's done, and those people have all dropped out already anyways. So
Donnie,
besides-
can you do us a favor and establish a deep relationship with Andrew Yang, and then let us steal the interview?
Dude, the weird thing is that my dad, who like he leans liberal, but he's not very political. He goes, "Oh, Yang follows you on Twitter? All right, like I'll donate like $10 to his campaign."
Yeah, he'll throw 20 on it.
Donnie,
I was like, "Damn, my dad's ride or die."
that's
Donnie, that was
awesome.
a clear
Yeah, he's
John
supporting his
McAfee,
son.
Kirk Minihane show joke I set you up for, and you just didn't even listen to it.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I mean, I meant to say this
Give
at
us-
the
give us
beginning of the
Andrew Yang.
program, but I came straight
Give
from the
us-
happy
give us
hour, so I'm
Andrew
kind of
Yang.
just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
zoning in and out.
And we're all zoning out. Hey, speaking of that, Pat, close us out, man. We're running a little long tonight.
All right, guys, a pair of bears with bad manners learned the lesson that you can't just walk into someone's front door without calling ahead or at least knocking first the hard way on Monday night. The mother bear combo, whose names and colors have not yet been released, just waltzed into a house in rural Jefferson County, Colorado, having given no heads up to the 71-year-old married couple who are the owners of the home. The couple, who hold etiquette in high regard, thought it prudent to teach this uninvited house guest combo a lesson in the form of a beating with a baseball bat. The geriatric man and women took turns with the bat, savagely beating some consideration into the Bear family while asking them rhetorical questions like, "Now you going to drop by unannounced next time?" The bears eventually ran out the screen door as better bears than when they came. The mother bear was located and euthanized. The cub, who was probably quietly reflecting on his mistakes in solitude, has not been located. That's going to do it for Hard Factor. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for having Donnie on the show. Thanks for being on, baby. Make sure you subscribe to Hard Factor if you're not already. If you can, give us a 5-star review. It helps people hear about the show. We got a bunch of events happening in September coming up.
This September, yeah.
Yeah, but mostly
This September.
Mostly
This
have
September.
a great fucking day.
And Brett Stevens is a bed bug.
All right.
There we go.